Welcome. You have 1 minute, Adriana. Please proceed.
Okay. So, my name is Adriana, and I'm a Highlander student, and I just want to speak about the 67067. Oh my God. So, what has been going on is not right, because I think students and everybody should be educated about sexism and racism, and it's not right that what's going on is not I guess they want to take out our education, and I think a lot of people need to be educated because of what's going on in this world and what happened back then. And it's just
20 seconds, please.
I think that
No.
students may introduce into society factors. In many occasions, we should not throw to waste the progress we made already as people, students, and as a state.
Good finish. Excellent. Any questions for the... No, we're going to wait till the end and we'll call back. Allison Greco, next witness. And then we'll go to Dr. You have 1 minute, Allison. Please proceed.
Thank you. My name is Allison Greco. I'm a teacher at Barrington High School, and I live in Cranston, Rhode Island. I'm speaking in opposition to this bill. I hope this bill is a political grandstanding gesture by Representative Morgan for some political race she intends to run in the future, and not a substantive position to impact education in our state.
Could you please address your comments to the legislation and not to the personality? Please proceed.
I did not.
Please proceed.
I did not. Okay. Because if this is a substantive position to impact education in our state, she and her co-authors are making a farce.
Please conclude.
I have not been able to speak. For the record, I have not been able to speak.
Okay, I'm yielding 30 seconds. Please conclude. You have 30 seconds to conclude.
The introduction of this bill is a political grandstanding gesture. Our public education system deserves better. This bill has come at the expense of our children, maligning our educators, and wasting our taxpayers' time and money and energy when our legislators should be legislating bills that would actually help our state. Please don't allow this bill to move forward. Please don't make our education system a pawn in some political game. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next witness is Amanda Iacampo. You have 1 minute, Amanda. Please proceed.
Okay, my name is Amanda Ike. I'm a grade LA teacher at Highlander Charter School in Providence. The bill that you proposed, 6070, is an across the state. The bill seeks to censor historical truth. While the times may have changed, generational trauma, discussions of these so-called divisive topics do not seek students, but rather to engage dialogue with students of color. Due to sometimes ugly and live, not what we're trying to establish.
20 seconds, please.
Human beings. The topic of this bill was yesterday afternoon by students point out. Forward to having these conversations. This bill goes against every leaders. Bill should.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. The next witness will be Angelica Vazquez from Barrington High School. Angelica, welcome. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Good afternoon. My name is Angelica Vazquez, and I live in Barrington, Rhode Island. I am a high school junior, and I am testifying against House Bill 6070. The reason I am able to speak here is because I have had teachers who have instituted knowledge in me through discussions that have both empowered and enlightened me. They have taught me history. Through removing discussions on gender and race, history is what you are omitting with this bill. Discussions and the lessons that allow us and allow students to tell their story and feel heard are anything but divisive. In light of the recent events over the past few weeks with the attack on Asian Americans, the summer filled with Black Lives Matter protests, the Me Too movement of 2017, and the past 245 years of injustice in America, we should take the time to reflect. Sorry, what was that?
Thank you very much, Angelica. Next, we have Anya Watson, Paul Cuffey School. Anya, welcome. You have 1 minute. Please proceed. Anya, welcome. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Hello, I'm a teacher in the Rhode Island school, and I teach civics and history, and I think it's very important that all voices, all ideas are taught in the classroom and are discussed in the classroom. I think this is a ridiculous idea to limit whose voice. I don't think it's a matter of guilt or feeling bad. I think it's a matter of exploring the past and understanding what's happened in the past to help us have responses to what's going on today. So I just really think it's important that teachers and education and classrooms are discussing all this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Brandon, please proceed. Please proceed. You have 1 minute. Brandon. Hello? Please proceed. You have 1 minute.
1 minute. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Brendan Solis. I'm not only coming to you today as a member of the Board of Education and Ride Student Advisory Council Chair, but as a high school senior and a brother to 3 siblings approaching middle school.
Okay.
Oh wait. Am I good to go?
Yeah. Yes?
Okay. In my experience, rarely did I ever see myself in the materials I was taught. I only saw African Americans in bondage or body bags, which only slightly better than never having 40 seconds having my Hispanic culture acknowledged. However, the support of my communities and the teachers involved built me into the man speaking to you today. I say this to say that not only is the House Bill 6070 sloppily written, not only is his
Excellent. Thank you, Brandon. Good finish. Next. Courtney, welcome. You have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Courtney, and I'm an educator in Providence, Rhode Island, and I believe that the bill is an infringement on our students' education and that it's also censorship. And it's important for students to know about the good and bad of history. And unfortunately for Rhode Island, slavery is a big part of our history, and it's only fair for students to learn, and we should not hide the truth from them. And that we should encourage them to research, find education, and discover the truth. And to learn that we can learn from our mistakes from the past to make a better future. That's all I have to say. Please consider the children and their education, and please don't censor their education in school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Courtney Brennan Rand. Dana Kevin Baptista, Jr. Welcome. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Hello.
Hi, Dana. Yeah, welcome. Please proceed. You have 1 minute. You're on.
For what?
To testify, unless you're waiting for a pizza or something, which you will not get, because this is the Rhode Island House of Representatives Committee on Education. Dana. Do you want to testify on a bill, 6070?
I'm so confused on what's going on.
Okay, very good. Please disregard this phone call. Thank you. Daniel Amar, next. Welcome, Mr. Amar. Please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Okay.
You can talk now.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Daniel Amar.
Yes, please proceed.
Please, I do something on my school project. That's why I said doorway. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's part of your school project. You can tell them that you spoke with Chairman McNamara,
Yeah.
and he said you were very polite.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
You're welcome. Darcy Dunnigan, 1 minute. Oops. Darcy, you have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Hi, I'm calling to object to this bill. I'm against this bill as a white parent in Providence with 2 kids who have had really good conversations in their classrooms about race and gender and class and sexuality. And I think that we parents need the schools to help us in these difficult conversations if we're going to have an equitable society. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Very good testimony. Thank you, Darcy. Next, David Velez. Welcome, David. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Chairman and committee members. My name is David Velez. I'm the director for the Rhode Island Interfaith Coalition to Reduce Poverty. We are a coalition of faith leaders and advocates that fight poverty. And one of the things we do in fighting poverty is fight the institutional systems of oppression like racism and sexism that exist in our society. So as faith leaders, as parents, as education advocates, we want to oppose this bill because we feel like it's dangerous to restrict the knowledge to students about these systems of oppression that could tragically lead to perpetuating these systems. So I know that there's concerns about, what our kids... There's concerns about what our kids learn, but I think it'd be worse for our kids not to learn about these things. So I hope that you oppose this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Elijah, please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. My name is Elijah Short. I'm a junior at Barrington High School. I'm here to testify against Bill 6070. In regards to this bill, I think it's important to acknowledge students who will be affected strongly. In some classes, we learn about topics like systemic racism and privilege, not because they are divisive, but because they are relevant and supported by fact. Representative Morgan addressed race shaming against white people, but I don't feel the curriculum that will be most harmed by this legislation can be considered white race shaming. I've never personally felt guilted into a certain opinion or emotion in regards to race or sex in the classroom. The discussions of race and sex have helped me grow, have empathy, and understand. The teachings that will most be harmed by this bill are among those who have been the most important and interesting.
20 seconds, please.
I believe that this bill limits what can be taught and therefore limits our education. From my experience, education on race and gender in the Barrington school system are not as Representative Morgan may believe. Thank you.
Thank you, Elijah. Welcome, Eric. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
As a teacher of high school U.S. history, I consider this bill an insult. You would require your state's teachers to willfully ignore the truth of our country's past. The language of this bill pointedly does not mention which races or sexes it seeks to protect from discomfort, guilt, distress, or anguish, but the subtext is clear. The bill is seeking to protect white students from having to confront the sins of America's past. How can we possibly move forward as a society if we continue to willfully ignore America's incredibly entrenched history of racism and sexism? How can you possibly pretend that Rhode Island has no history of racism when some of the most prolific slave traders in America were Rhode Islanders? Students should be exposed to stories of oppression as well as stories of innovation, resistance, and heroism. There should not be any moment of historical import that we are not allowed to teach. And since this bill brings up the concept of anguish, how often have our students of color been forced to contend with content that would cause them anguish? How often have state-approved curricula either relegated them to the supporting role or erased them from the narrative of our histories altogether? I'm not saying my class is perfect, but we have to continue to push ourselves to examine and re-examine our history. I wish to voice my firm opposition.
Thank you, Eric. Eric Wicks, Highlander Charter School. Welcome, Eric. Eric, you have 1 minute. Please proceed.
I just wanted to say I oppose this completely. It's a real disservice to the kids, the students that we have to teach every day, to leave a critical part of education out of their lives. Learning how to grow with others and be a community and be equal in every way and see it that way. It's a disservice to have this bill go through or even talk about this kind of a bill. And I can see the rest of my time.
Thank you. Excellent. Welcome, Francis. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Prohibiting the teaching of divisive concepts would negatively impact classrooms throughout Rhode Island. The discussion of difficult issues is essential to creating a more cohesive society. Hostile disagreements are only hostile because the opponents have no understanding of the other's position. Without discussion, these positions will never be understood and consensus will never be achieved. Classrooms are a place to learn and share knowledge. Students will not receive a true education if divisive concepts are not taught and discussed. The concepts listed in this bill are the horrible products of our society. Every Rhode Island student will be forced to engage with some form of a racist and sexist society at some point in their lives. Why wouldn't our representatives want Rhode Island students to be fully educated on this topic so they know how to respond to inequalities and stereotypes? Students should be taught how to right the wrongs of systematic oppression. To prohibit the discussion of divisive concepts in Rhode Island schools would be to fail Rhode Island students by limiting the depth of their education.
Thank you, Francis.
Thank you.
Thank you. George Evans Molly. Welcome, George. Please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Excellent. I can't see who I'm speaking to at the moment. Can I ask who I'm speaking to?
It's Chairman McNamara and the House Committee on Education. Please proceed.
Excellent. Thank you. Today is Transgender Day of Remembrance, and I want to take a moment and read the names of the folks who were killed this year to ensure their memory is not in vain. Justin Parker, Nalusa Luciana Ruiz, Yampi Mendez, Archio, Monica Diamond, Leila Velez Sanchez, Lexi. Now, I just want to remind folks, H6070, correct me if I'm wrong, this bill is to protect white fragility. Is that correct?
That's your interpretation. Just please proceed.
20 seconds remaining.
I was not told that I had a time limit, so I will continue.
No, you were.
No, that's not true. Reclaiming my time. I was told when I had unlimited time to testimony this evening, and I will continue to do so.
Oh, you will.
I will. Scott Lee DeVore, Johanna Metzier, Hele O'Regan, Serena, Angelique Vazquez, Ramos.
Thank you for your testimony.
I will continue. Reclaiming my time. Dominique, Rainier, Fells, Tony, McDale, Penelope Diaz.
Thank you for your testimony, and just for the witnesses, everyone has 1 minute, and if you have further testimony, please submit it, email it to us, and it will be considered by the committee. So this isn't a Hollywood set. We're being respectful to our fellow citizens that have signed up, and this is the only way that we can do it, by limiting the time to 1 minute for the 120 witnesses. Gina Bay? And ANRO. Welcome, Gina. Please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. My name is Gina Bay. I currently sit as chair of the Barrington School Committee, but I'm also an Asian American woman with 3 Asian American children in the school system, which is why I'm here to testify in opposition to Bill H6070. This bill would undo the gains we have made in the educational system to provide for a robust learning environment that makes students feel valued and take ownership of their learning. Learning about topics like racism and sexism engages students in investigations of meaningful, open-ended problems in an ideal way to get students to analyze, formulate questions, and generate solutions to challenging, authentic problems. But most importantly, it would take away the creation of safe spaces within classrooms for students like my children. They would not have their everyday lived experiences be validated and their racial identity strengthened, leading to less engagement in their learning and lower learning outcomes for all. Our sense of safety and belonging would be crushed, like a door slammed in our faces. I also want to address the point that there was an implication that racism does not exist in Barrington. I assure you that it does.
We appreciate your testimony, and feel free to submit any written testimony. Thank you. Ian Rowe? Welcome, Ian. Please proceed. You have 1 minute.
This is Ian Rowe.
Yes, please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Ian Rowe. For the last decade, I've ran a network of public charter schools in the heart of the South Bronx and the Lower East Side of Manhattan with primarily low-income and minority students. In preparing for my testimony, I looked at the 8th grade reading proficiency scores in Rhode Island since 1998. As is the case with most other states, in each year since 1998 in Rhode Island, less than half of Rhode Island's white students in the 8th grade scored proficient in reading. The sad irony is that closing the black or Hispanic to white achievement gap without improving outcomes for all students would mean black and Hispanic students would move from sub-mediocrity to full mediocrity in terms of reading. It's important we as a country grapple with this because topics like critical race theory are going to do nothing to improve the reading outcomes for the nearly 3,500 white students, 22,000 Hispanic students, or 800 black students that were not reading and proficient.
Ian,
thank you.
We've just, we're giving and we thank you for your written testimony and the members of the committee reading it, but due to time limits, unfortunately, we have approximately 60 more witnesses, and we're just giving everyone 1 minute. I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
The next witness is Jelia Joseph. Welcome, Jelia. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Okay. Hi, thank you for this opportunity to speak. I will be testifying against House Bill number 6070, which prohibits teaching and training divisive concepts on race and sex. To ignore these inequities because people may feel distressed by the discussion or lesson is reprehensible and should not even be up for debate. If passed, this bill limits what is taught about racism and sexism more than it's already limited, and this is something that our students of color and students who don't identify as simply male or female can't afford to lose just because it may make people feel uncomfortable. Throughout the 18th century, Rhode Island merchants controlled between 60 and 90% of the American trade in African slaves. In other words, white men in Rhode Island controlled more than half of the American trade of African slaves. Not to mention the name of our state was literally called the state of Rhode Island and Providence plantations up until November of last year. Is this information not supposed to be taught or discussed because it will make white students feel uncomfortable? These things exist and they must be taught and discussed in order to build real solutions. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. James Stringer. Welcome, Mr. Stringer. Please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm a teacher at Highlander Charter School. I teach high school education. I brought this topic up. I brought the bill up with the students. I allowed them to read it. And the biggest push I got from all my students is that high school is the place where these conversations should be happening, where they can be happened in an orderly, in a controlled way, where you can facilitate it to ensure that all voices are heard and all opinions are heard. I fully agree that no high school should be pressing or pushing any specific opinion. However, the wording in that bill means that no student has the opportunity to voice or speak or listen or hear to the opinions of others. which to become a true citizen of the United States, to be somebody who truly is participating in our democracy, you need to be able to listen to, understand the viewpoints of others. And this bill would limit our ability to do that in high schools.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stringer. I appreciate it. Welcome, Jennifer. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. My name is Jennifer Bergevine. I'm a Rhode Island public school teacher. I've been in Barrington for over 20 years. I teach English, and a major part of our curriculum involves conversations around race and gender as presented in literature. I shared this bill, H6070, with my students, and they shared their thoughts with me, and I'd like to share them with you briefly today. We are in opposition to this bill. One of my 11th graders said that classroom conversations about uncomfortable topics are exactly what is necessary to grow a generation of Americans that can better the world and put ignorance to a stop. Comfort in a time of such animosity is a privilege that the world cannot afford.
20 seconds.
A ninth grader echoed this by simply saying, "Things won't improve if we are prohibited from hearing about it." I will tell you that the definition of divisive is actually defined as creating disunity or dissension. One of my juniors, after having a class discussion of white privilege, decided that I think teaching this concept is the polar opposite of divisive. Instead, it increases understanding and knowledge on these
Thank you,
issues
Jennifer.
and ultimately encourages togetherness.
We appreciate
I
your
implore
testimony.
you to...
Next, we have Jesse Burke. Welcome, Mr. Green. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Thank you. Educating our children is a privilege and a huge responsibility because it's about much more than simply reading, writing, and arithmetic. American history has more than its fair share of truly iconic and inspiring moments. Chapters of integrity, principle, courage, and commitment, for which we can all feel justifiably proud as well as grateful. But if we are being completely honest, we must accept the undeniable fact that our history also has its share of dark chapters too. Hello? Hello?
Yes, you have 20 seconds.
Okay. I certainly realize that some topics are difficult to confront, but to avoid them by cherry-picking our way through the narrative because they make us feel uncomfortable is not the best way forward and runs against what becoming educated is all about. Without a true and full picture of events, we remain in a kind of limbo where we continue to deny our own culpability, robbing ourselves of the opportunity at our great peril for redemption by finally learning from our mistakes.
Thank you, Mr. Green.
All right.
Kashmir, you have 1 minute. Welcome. Please proceed.
Hi, my name is Kashmir McKenna, and I am a high school teacher in Providence, Rhode Island, and I'm speaking in opposition to H6070. I'm a black male teacher who teaches a wonderful group of students of various ethnic and racial backgrounds and sexual identities. And in my first month of teaching, I witnessed the murders of black men by police officers that went viral. And because we had the opportunity to talk about it as a class, even in my first month of teaching, I could see a unifying that happened between myself and my students. It was not a divisive concept. What would have been divisive would have been to ignore the uncomfortable realities that are around us.
Seconds, please.
And I committed more to this cause and put together some testimony from my students. That was shared in written testimony as well. I encourage lawmakers to think about the implications of what is divisive and what is ignoring the identities that students bring to the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you, Kashmir. Kelsey, please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Hi. I just wanted to say that I am not in support of the bill. I oppose the bill. I think our students are very smart, and especially here in Providence, and they will know that America is racist and imperialist, and they're going to learn that anyway, so why not learn it from our schools correctly and not be a bunch of cowards about our actual history. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey. Kyra, welcome. Please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Kira Duquesne, and I am a resident of North Providence. I am submitting my verbal testimony in opposition of this bill, which I find particularly shameful. These representatives have brought a bill to pass that essentially is attempting to outlaw the truth and the truth being taught in our schools. And in order to have students going out into the world without the information about what the history of Rhode Island actually is, sets them up for essentially failure and to get a rude awakening later in life. Additionally,
please.
The wording of the billing also is taken almost verbatim from former President Trump's executive order. These representatives didn't even, take care to rephrase things that they plagiarized. And additionally, you cannot outlaw feelings. I yield my time.
Thank you. We appreciate
You're
your
welcome.
testimony. Next, Latoya Bryce. Latoya, welcome. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
I'm sorry?
Please proceed.
Okay, and what am I proceeding with?
You are proceeding with testimony on House Bill 6070.
Okay, I did not sign up to testify, or I did not oppose the bill to testify.
Very good.
I wanted to oppose. I did
Have a
want to
nice
oppose
day
though.
then, Latoya. You're opposed to it?
Yes, I am opposed to it.
Okay, that's fine. All right.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Libby. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Hi, my name is Libby Merrill. I'm a resident of East Providence, Rhode Island. I'm a lifelong Rhode Islander, and I'm testifying today on behalf of myself. I want to testify in strong opposition to Bill 6070 that would prohibit the teaching of anti-racist education, including that white supremacy is a thing that exists. White supremacy is the basis of the foundation of the United States of America. We were founded on a lie of racial differences and racial hierarchy. And if we cannot face that history and teach it, then there is no way we can move beyond it. It is doing a grave disservice to the students and children of Rhode Island, as well as the teachers and adults, to not be able to name that and teach it. And the only way we will ever achieve equality and justice for all in the state of Rhode Island is to acknowledge our history, to teach it accurately, and to work together as a multiracial coalition to do better. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, Libby. Next, Lillian Rose Redmond.
Chairman, no answer. We're going.
Lindsay. Lindsay, welcome. Please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Hi, thank you. My name is Lindsay Paiva, and I'm a Providence public school teacher and a Rhode Island resident. Please consider this testimony against H6070. This bill is absolutely contrary to the democratic purpose of schooling. Schools are microcosms of society, and as such should be spaces where students can ask questions, process complex topics, and work together to understand their world. Pretending that racism and sexism do not exist in order to reduce the shame of students from the dominant group is a white supremacist and sexist approach. Just this week, the third grade teachers at our school decided to conduct a teach-in to support students to understand the ways in which the COVID pandemic is increasing racism against people who are of Chinese or Asian descent.
20 seconds, please.
Building empathy is one of the most important parts of my job. I believe that all educators have a responsibility to support students' ability to empathize. If we cannot do this work, our democracy and society as we know it will be in peril. We cannot keep protecting white supremacist interests. We need to move toward justice. Please do not pass 6070. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lindsay. Welcome, Marvelina. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Hi. So first I'd like to say that it is crucial that diversity is taught in our children's schools because we are in America and it's a diverse place to be in. And there need to be, we need inclusion. And without inclusion, it's almost going to be like they're being discriminated against, especially in the education system. And that's it.
Thank you, Marvelina. We appreciate your testimony. Welcome, Michelle. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Good afternoon. I am Michelle Marks Osborne. I am a subject matter expert on what this bill, H6070, is promulgating, and I stand strongly in opposition to this. I'm very concerned that what is being termed divisive is really against driving toward inclusiveness and equity for those who are non-white, who are women, who are non-heteronormative. And those groups have been subjected to just about every discriminatory practice under just about every one of these 10 points that have been noted. I am so disappointed that critical race theory has been
20 seconds, please.
that neo-racism has been misrepresented because it's founded in the ability to adapt to Eurocentricity. And by the way, Martin Luther King first said in his I Have a Dream speech that black people were not free then, and they are not free. We are not free now. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your testimony, Michelle. Nico Merritt, next witness. Nico, welcome. Please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Yes, hi. Good afternoon. My name is Nico Merritt. I'm a public historian, and I teach history classes. I'm in strong opposition to the bill 6070. I find it ironic that the bill mentions that divisive concepts shall mean and include one race or sex is inherently superior. That's how American history is currently taught. It uplifts one race or sex. We are taught history from a white patriarchal standpoint. We have the opportunity now to reteach the concepts that we haven't been taught before. If this bill passes, we're shutting down this conversation in a place where it can be held and supported by educators and amongst peers in a school setting.
20 seconds remaining.
That this is even being considered, and I am disappointed that they're trying to deny issues like racism and sexism. They are here, and we need to discuss them and resolve them to make this better for our students and our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Nico. Welcome, Nina. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Nina Wolfland. I'm a Providence resident here tonight to testify against bill number 6070. I'm sure you've heard lots of really powerful testimonies, so I'll keep mine brief. Our education informs our next generation. My education has deeply shaped the work I do every day and the work that I hope to do in the future. And it's deeply important that all Rhode Island residents learn about the history of Rhode Island and the history of this country in order to build a better future for all people. And the reality is that the history of Rhode Island does include a long and very deep involvement
20 seconds,
with the
please.
transatlantic slave trade, and we need to confront that, and banning the education of the deep histories of racism and other systems of oppression in this country and in this state is not the way forward. We need deep education and understanding to build a better future for this state. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony, Nina. Welcome, Paige. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Excellent. Rhode Island Kids Count would like to voice its opposition for 6070. Anti-racist teachings encourage students to learn about, analyze, and value experiences and stories of different racial groups, and to transform any feelings there may be of guilt into active commitments to dismantle racism. Policies and practices that are not racially aware and equity-centered exacerbate inequities and can uphold the racism that has plagued our education system. We urge the committee to continue its good work to improve policies and practices that are addressing disparities based on race, ethnicity, gender, income, immigration status, language status, and disability, and not to start to legislate feelings, especially those that impede the progress towards race equity.
20 seconds,
and
please.
If I may quickly, Chairman, we also signed up to verbally provide testimony for 5838 concurrent enrollment and was not called, but our written testimony includes amendments that we hope that the committee takes a look at. And we also submitted testimony in support of 5837.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome, Venus. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
Good afternoon, Representatives Nick Namara and members of the Committee on Education. My name is Venus Tian. I live in Barrington, and I'm a senior at Barrington High School. I oppose Bill 6070. According to Bill 6070, educating students about issues related to race and gender sows division in our community. However, the truth is that educating students about these issues teaches students to empathize with one another and unifies our community. As a first-generation Chinese American and as a woman, I've experienced this firsthand. When we address issues of racism and sexism in class, I feel like a welcome member of my community. I feel connected to my community rather than separate from it. I feel seen rather than overlooked. This sense of unity motivates me to contribute to my community and be the best student I can be because I know that my contributions will be welcome and appreciated. The racist and sexist structures of our world divide us and convince us that we are more different than we are alike. Education plays a key role in breaking these barriers down and building bridges between us. If you decide to leave students in the dark about issues related to race and gender, you are not only keeping the truth of our country's history and politics away from us, denying us a rigorous, comprehensive education. You're standing passively by as the oppressive systems of our world dehumanize entire groups of people and render us unable to connect with each other.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Wellington Lopez. Wellington, welcome. Please proceed. You have 1 minute.
I am a student from Highlander Charter School. I come behind other students that I go with. We do not. We do not agree with the bill. One, because we actually do want to learn about Black Lives Matter. Two, we want to learn about the real America. And three, we do not agree how the teachers can't teach about things that society is going on right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Wellington. Welcome, Yale. Please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Good afternoon to you all. My name is Yael Goldstein. I'm a junior at Barrington High School, and I'm testifying in opposition to this bill. On its face, Bill 6070 is a direct statement in opposition to healing the disparities that exist on the basis of gender and race. And racism and sexism exist. Some of us may not have to deal with it, but others must grapple with the ramifications of white and male privilege on a daily basis. Education exists to educate us on the real world, and the real world is, as it stands, unequal. Should I lack the opportunity to learn about and discuss these issues objectively in an academic setting, I shudder to think of how blind I would be to the inequality in the world around me. And in my experience as a high school student learning about race, gender, and all that follows, discussing these topics has never divided my classroom, but only brought us closer together in our endeavor to learn. My generation is supposed to facilitate change, but how can we find a solution to a problem we cannot see or are unaware of? To address racism and sexism in our society, we must encourage discourse and debate in our schools. Now, this bill argues on the basis of limiting discomfort. I say let us be uncomfortable. Maybe our discomfort will finally drive us to dismantle the hundreds of years of injustice with roots in gender and race. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Next, Yangel Toribio. Yangel, please proceed. You have 1 minute.
All right, so I believe that this bill should not be passed. I believe it is blatantly racist and really unjustifiable if it was passed. Not only would it make us seem really dumb and stupid, but it would cost us the education of our future generations. We need to build on the past and to know that it was wrong. We need to learn from it and build from it, not take away the education that we deserve to know. If people are uncomfortable by it, that's good, because we learn more if we're uncomfortable.
20 seconds, please. Yangel?
Yeah?
Very good. I like the way you closed. Thank you for
Yeah.
your testimony.
You're welcome.
Yom Nang?
Yan Hao Toribia.
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you for your testimony. Yom. Okay. Please proceed. You have 1 minute.
Greetings. My name is Raymond Watson, representing the Providence Cultural Equity Initiative. I just want to voice my opposition to this bill. I'm concerned with individuals trying to decide what is divisive when it comes to our history. I believe all of our history is important, including the parts that makes us feel uncomfortable, because when we're uncomfortable, we choose to make different decisions in the future. I would be highly opposed to anyone who has a background of not being indigenous to these lands, deciding to exclude indigenous history because it makes other people feel uncomfortable. And I think it would also erase a lot of the ethnic histories that have made Rhode Island a great place, including our
20
Italian,
seconds, please.
and Irish communities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimony. Next witness, please. Who is this? Welcome. You have 1 minute. Please proceed.
The right to a public education or any education of that matter is the right to be educated on anything the teacher feels will prepare their student for life and the real world. To teach history, in this country is to acknowledge and accept and to teach all of America's history, even if that means educating our youth on how white supremacy and white racist individuals have benefited from racist white colonizers who have implemented racist systematic operations that still impact and hinders communities of color, black people, and BIPOC communities everywhere. They say history repeats itself, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's anyone whose name is on this bill who would love to see history repeat itself here in Providence, Rhode Island, and Rhode Island as a whole. But these are not the times where history should and will repeat themselves. There is the platform to speak about what's right and what's wrong. The state of Rhode Island had plantation in its name. How many of you voted to remove it? America is fundamentally racist and sexist. And if that makes you uncomfortable to hear what white racists have done, it also makes black people uncomfortable to hear what white racist people have done.
Thank you for your testimony. Thank you. That concludes the hearing on this legislation.